going on, guys? You're watching the Shield Bearer of Faith. Forgive the lighting, please. This would normally be a Tales from the Street video reserved only for the tiers that would correspond with those stories. However, I feel like this specific story is important to everybody, and it's not just a story. And it kind of gives me concern, so let's get into it. Feel free to reasonably share this with people that you might know. And I say reasonably because I don't want you guys just copying and pasting my videos to everybody. That is the agreement that you and I have when we have a Patreon partnership, we'll call it, right? It's not open media. I don't want this on everyone else's social media. However, this is a little troublesome. And again, forgive the lighting. So probably a week ago, it's taken me that long to actually get you guys this story in a video form. Probably about a week ago. Partway, maybe, I don't know, 3 hours into my day, I hear radio traffic talking about a male has got a gun to his own head, yelling at his wife saying, "I'm going to shoot myself," saying, you know, "if you don't, whatever." And, you know, he's not holding her hostage, but obviously she's afraid, no doubt. And she's barricaded herself in the bathroom. Now, this was not a call that I was responding to. It was not even in my region of the city, but I heard the radio traffic. And then I read the call screen because that's a higher priority thing, right? That's a bigger deal. We don't want anybody pointing a gun at anybody, much less themselves. So officers respond. Within a short order, I hear that they're going to ECO this guy. I am not surprised. When you're homicidal or suicidal, you're going to get ECO'd, and this guy is doing an overt action to indicate that he is willing and able, has the means to end his own life. So, based on the code sections, they ECO this guy. They take him on an emergency custody order. That's what that means. If you have not seen my videos talking about ECOs before, that means they're going to take him to the hospital for a mental evaluation. Okay. Up to that point, he had not done anything that is actually illegal in Virginia. Did you know that killing yourself is not a crime anymore in Virginia? Just FYI, okay? So, officers ECO him, and I go on with my day. Don't think any more about it. I get off. I'm turning in my gear, and I'm washing off my hands in the bathroom, and one of the guys that was on that call passes me. "Hey man, how you doing? Did you have a good day?" "It was a day," is what he says. I said, "Oh, what'd y'all get into?" He said, "Had to put 10 guns in the property room, in our evidence room, right?" So if I confiscate drugs, or if someone loses a wallet, or if we take a firearm for something, it's going to be put in the property room, right? All of that goes in the same place. And there's a pretty extensive process for us to package and document what's going in the property room, okay? So it's not a short deal. So when he said that he had to put 10 guns in there, I was like, oh boy, he's going to be in there a while. And so I paused and I said, "Where'd you get 10 guns from? I didn't realize you guys got into anything like that." I'm thinking he did like a drug warrant and they found a pile of guns, is what I'm thinking. I was like, "Oh, cool. Where'd you get them from?" "That guy that was wanting to kill himself that we ECO'd." I said, "Oh, how did that happen?" And he tells me, well, he had the one that he was threatening himself with. I said, "Yeah." I was not surprised that they took that one. Not even remotely. If somebody is using a firearm in an incident and it amounts to police response like that, it's possible that that gun will be taken given the circumstances, right? Whether you like that or not, that's how that goes. If I find somebody who has just shot at a house, which this happened just a week ago too, the guy just shot at a house, we find him shortly after, yeah, he's not getting that gun back. It's evidence of the incident. And I say incident because for this specific case that we're talking about, for this ECO, it was not a crime yet, right? No doubt it's an elevated concern, but it's an incident. And I could understand, whether you agree with it or not, the argument, the reasonable argument that he's threatening to kill himself. We have to take the firearm, put it in property. He can petition to get it back if he is of sound mind to do it. If they release him and say, no, there's nothing wrong with him. If he is TDO'd, meaning he is committed to a mental health facility, that's the next step. If the emergency custody order, which causes us to get him evaluated, if the evaluation finds that he's a danger to himself or others, they will then TDO him and pretty much require that he gets further assistance. He's not getting an option, okay? And at that point, he would no longer be able to purchase or carry a firearm legally, okay? So I continue to ask, where did these other 9 guns come in? I'm thinking, all right, the dude's sitting on a bed and got, 10 guns in reach or something crazy like that. And so they're like, we're just going to put them all in property, something like that. What ended up happening, I was informed that they were made aware by this guy's wife that, hey, he's got more guns in that gun safe over there. The key for it is on that counter. And the wife says, I don't want the guns in this house. Saying that they're his, right? Now, when you're married, nothing's really yours anymore. Everything is cooperatively owned, okay? But that really puts some mud in the water when the wife's like, here, take these, I don't want them anymore. Even though they're his, right? Now here's where it really gets gray. The officers, per the code section in Virginia now, with all the red flag law stuff that passed, per the code section, are required in the circumstances they had to confiscate all firearms. So what they did was they took that key, went into a locked gun safe, and removed those firearms. Can we see where there might be a problem here? So when I heard this, I said, you what? We don't go into locked containers without a warrant to take property on murder suspects. We get a warrant. We do not go into locked containers within a home without a warrant. By the code section, technically, by this red flag law, they were acting according to that code. I got a problem with that. And I made my point with the officer that was telling me this. I let it stew over in my mind. I texted a few other people. I was like, since when do we do this crap? And I got informed by several other officers, yeah, that's been the case since that stuff passed. I was like, we have never gone into locked containers, a locked safe, and confiscated guns without a warrant. I said, why not just get the wife to get rid of the guns? Suggest that. You don't even have to force her to do it. Just suggest it. Ma'am, if you don't want these guns, there ain't no shortage of people wanting to buy guns. Go sell them to a gun shop, or, give them temporarily to a storage locker, right? I mean, I could think of plenty of ways that we didn't have to be involved with confiscating someone's property without a warrant, but they did. And again, I wasn't on scene. I didn't know about it at the time. Man, that bothered me, because an ECO is not a criminal conviction. It is only to have you evaluated. It is not even saying that you have to be committed to a mental facility yet. That's the TDO part. Assuming that the evaluation finds you to be incapable of making your own decisions safely. Whether we agree with the ECO or TDO stuff is a side point. That's a whole different topic, okay? But my point is, an ECO is purely an accusation that you're not mentally competent. I know the situation was elevated. I know. I read the call screen. I heard the radio traffic. No doubt, elevated, right? The dude's got a gun to his own head. He's threatening to pull the trigger. Honey, I love you, don't leave me. I'm gonna do it. Something like that. Yeah, that's elevated. Again, I don't blame them for taking the one he had on him. That's normal. Don't do things like that and expect for that exact day for you to get to still have the weapon. But they were taking him on a forced evaluation, right? So they're gonna have to take that firearm anyway. So whether you think that they should have taken it or not is kind of irrelevant, because either way, he's not gonna be allowed to take a firearm for that ECO. He's in our custody for that. We get to go and sit with him for 8 hours at a hospital until they decide whether he's mentally competent or not, and then they decide if they're going to TDO him and have him sent to another facility or not. But the ECO is temporary, it's emergency, it's short term. There are concerns to be had here. Not even for the Second Amendment. Going in the locked container without a warrant has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. That is violating your rights to search and seizure, guys. I was not happy. And then another concern came up. When I was asking through text messages by this point, after it had stewed over in my mind for a little while, and I had talked to some other officers, seeing if this was literally what the code said now, and we were actually applying it, because I had an idea that the code said things like this, but actually applying it's a whole different deal, because that violates your Fourth Amendment, right? And so I texted him and I said, y'all didn't get a warrant for that, right? I did understand that, right? No, we didn't get a warrant. I was like, that is a crazy slippery slope. We did not have constitutional authority to do that. Even if, all right, so let's give you another example. Let's say you're in your home and your wife's there too. And I come knock on your door. And your wife answers the door and says, come on in, excluding exigent circumstances. She says, come on in, but then you step right behind her and says, no, do not come in here. We can talk with you on the porch. So one has said yes, the other has said no. If I clarify and ask who actually lives there, who is who, right? They're married, they have equal rights to that house. I can't go in that house because one party said I can't. There are exigent circumstances that would change this, but all things being equal in the scenario I just gave you, we can't go in that house because they have equal rights to that property. Except if something is inherently illegal, guys, or if I see marijuana, up till recently maybe, cocaine, heroin, things like that in plain view, yeah, that's illegal anyway. I can confiscate that just by seeing it. If somebody were to say, hey, I've got cocaine on that table right there, I'm trying to get clean, please take it from me. Yep, we will absolutely take it and have it destroyed, no doubt. But do you see the problem here? That's not the same. We do not go into locked things without warrants. And to do so under, well, we had a good reason. No. We've seen plenty of, we've got good reasons to do X, Y, and Z this year, haven't we? We've got a lot of good reasons to take your rights from you. We got a lot of good reasons that you shouldn't be allowed to go to church even though the liquor store is open. We got a lot of good reasons why the gym is going to shut down for 3 months straight without compensation, up to and including boarding up the door. But Walmart can stay open. There's a problem here. It bothered me. If you can't tell, it bothered me. And here's another piece that bothered me. It further showed me, because the guys that were doing this call are vets. Let's go there for a minute. One of them was in the Marine Corps. I do not know if they had combat tours. It does not matter. They were trained by the U.S. military, okay? One of them was in the Marine Corps, and the other one, I believe, just got out of the National Guard. He was in it for like 9 years. They both have been cops longer than I have. And they both profess that the Second Amendment is important to them. What about the Fourth Amendment, guys? What about when the Second Amendment bleeds over into the Fourth Amendment? What about when the code section conflicts with someone's rights? With someone's Bill of Rights, meaning the first rights that you were guaranteed in our Constitution. The ones that mattered enough to our founders, knowing what they knew, to alter the Constitution and make sure that that first 10 amendments was there, because they knew the risks. They knew what power could do. Do you see the concern? It had already been done by the time I found out about it. It does not matter what I said, cared about, didn't matter. I voiced my concern to this guy. That's the best I can do. I can't change that circumstance. I did, however, tell him when he was rationalizing, giving the good reasons why they took them, why they went into that locked container with no warrant. I told him, oh, I know the code section might say that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. We are tasked with a difficult and potentially coming up impossible job of protecting your rights while at the same time being capable of taking them away. What do I mean? Guys, we are given a massive amount of power. So legislatures have to reason and argue and wait months to actually take away your freedoms, right? We can do it frequently, legally, ready for that, in the moment, right? So I'm among the only people in this country that can take your freedom from you and put you in a box, in handcuffs, right, in the moment. That is a huge responsibility. Every time that I've had a new hire or a recruit, whatever you want to call them, a new officer ride with me, I tell them, do not underestimate the amount of power that you have in this job, and appreciate and respect it, because we are tasked with protecting and serving the community. We are also tasked with protecting your rights, even if you don't want them. Yep. That is the task. And it is a very dangerous, slippery slope if we start to, we had some good reasons. No. Much of my world is not black and white. I'll be honest about that. Most of my world that I function in is very gray, guys. We have to use discretion, good judgment, sound thought, even keel. We got to use all of that on the daily basis to make the best decision we can with what we got at the time. We knew better than that. And you know what's really kind of messed up about it? Chances are nothing will come of that. There will not be a lawsuit. If there is one, it won't go anywhere. Because this guy is quote unquote crazy. No doubt he needed to go for some help, right? No doubt. When we have nothing else that we can do, an ECO tends to be the option because it gives us the ability to get somebody help who otherwise is dangerous. But that doesn't give us the authority to do anything we want. Pray for our nation, guys. Please pray for us on the street. I am confident this is not the first time that this has occurred. And maybe you'll ask, and I'll finish it up with this, maybe you'll ask, SBF, what would you have done if you had been there? If you had been made aware of that code, another officer was with you, given the circumstances, what would you have done? I'll be straight up with you. I'd have taken the gun that he had on him at the time that I probably would have had to draw down on him to get him to drop. Yep, that's going in property. You can try to get it back later, assuming you were not TDO'd, and that's a whole different question there. And when the wife tells me, hey, he's got more guns in that safe, I don't want them, I want them out of here. Ma'am, you need to get them out of here. If you would like, I can help you make sure they do not have bullets in them. But that's the most I'm gonna do. I am not taking those firearms. I do not have legal justification based on your constitutional rights and your husband's to take those guns. However, you as his wife can sell them, have them destroyed, whatever, but I am not going to step into that pile of junk just because you asked me to. That's my answer. I hope it helps, guys. I'll see you later.